killing, a man who was ended up being killed by a Massachusetts escalator. How you get killed by an escalator? I don't know, but let's get over into it.
I'd like to find out where they were. To lose my son because nobody was doing their job, I'd like to know why. Because it infuriates me.
Tonight, an exclusive from our NBC 10 investigators. A Boston family is searching for answers and demanding accountability from the MBTA. They want to know how their loved one died after he was trapped at the bottom of an escalator inside a Somerville T station. Good evening, everyone. I'm Colton Bradford.
And I'm Priscilla Casper. NBC 10 investigator Ryan Kath obtained video of this incident and spoke with family members about their loss. Ryan.
And Priscilla, the video you're about to see might be difficult to watch. It shows crucial minutes passed before anyone alerted first responders. The footage also reveals the public had plenty of opportunities to step in and possibly save his life. You're watching surveillance video from the MBTA's Davis station in Somerville. The person riding the escalator is Stephen McCluskey. These are the final moments of the 40-year-old's life.
The fact that his death could have been prevented or avoided, and it wasn't, I want to know why.
Shannon Flaherty is Stephen's younger sister. Mary is his mom. Together, they sat down with us inside their family home in South Boston to talk about the talented carpenter and father of 2 boys.
He loved building things, loved his children, loved being a dad.
But in recent years, they described how Stephen was struggling.
He was dealing with addiction. You know, he did his best every single day to show up for the people that he loved in the ways that he could.
Just before 5 a.m. on February 27th, Stephen stepped on the escalator and headed toward the subway platform. But at the bottom, watch as Stephen loses his balance and falls. He would never get back up.
Now, I was initially thinking he was either drunk or something like that just by his movements. So it looks like he fell off the wagon and tripped and ended up dying or sucked into that. Let's keep going, though.
Family remembers getting the call from the hospital.
What's going through your mind?
I pretty much froze. You can't describe it. There's just no words.
Going through my head that whole time was just like, am I going to see my brother again?
All they knew was there had been a horrific accident involving an escalator. They had no idea of what unfolded in the video you're about to see.
I can only imagine there were so many questions going through your head.
Well, I just don't understand why nobody would help. Like, nobody would stop. Where was security? Where were the red coats that are supposed to be on all the floors from the time it opens to the time it closes? How does a busy train station and nobody stop? Nobody see him?
It turns out plenty of people did see Stephen that morning. Less than a minute after he fell, a passenger spots him from the top of the escalator, and then after taking the stairs, looks like he briefly tries to help Stephen before continuing to the subway gates. You then see Stephen flailing his legs as he tries to free himself. A steady procession line of T-riders follows, with some people briefly staring at the person at the bottom of the moving escalator, others barely giving a glance as they stroll by. A larger group reverses course on the escalator before gathering around Stephen at the bottom, with one pulling on his legs. Roughly 18 minutes after he fell, a 911 call the NBC 10 investigators obtained finally alerts first responders.
He's at the bottom of the down escalator.
And is the escalator moving?
Yes, he's laid out flat down with his head on the
breathing?
bottom step. I can't even tell. I saw him when I was getting at the top of the escalator.
More than 22 minutes had passed by the time a T-worker appears on the screen, walks up and presses the emergency stop button.
I don't find that acceptable. That's way too long.
Robert Cotton is an escalator expert with 4 decades of experience. He used to oversee the equipment for the public transit system in the Bay Area of California.
Well, they have to have the highest standard of care. They breach that duty. They have a duty to maintain that. If somebody had knowledge of it, that should have been acted upon immediately.
Now is this how people are? Now the first dude, just the first dude, the very first one. He saw him, noticed him. He went down there, tried to help him, couldn't help him, and then just left. Not making an attempt. I'm assuming he didn't call 911. I'm assuming he wasn't him. Because 18 minutes after he fell. You had other people try to help him, didn't, couldn't. You got people who looked at him, just walked right past. Just like he's another man on the street. This man is laying there dying on the ground. Would you have done differently? Let's keep going into this.
Statement, the T called the incident a terrible accident and told us MBTA personnel respond swiftly to all emergencies and do everything they can to assist individuals and secure the situation. When first responders arrived, they found Stephen without a pulse and his clothing pulled tight, cutting off the airway in his throat. They also discovered the skin from his back had been pulled into the escalator, and at one point thought the machine would have to be dismantled just to free Stephen. A half hour after responding to the station, EMS workers finally carried Stephen out on a stretcher and loaded him into an ambulance. An NBC 10 photojournalist captured the departure to Mass General Hospital, where Stephen would pass away 10 days later.
I would like to see.
I would too.
Mary and Shannon had never seen the video of Stephen's final moments until we met them for this interview.
That's not something I want to show the parents. Not me, but the world is a crazy place.
And they just walk by.
The footage, difficult to comprehend.
I just can't believe it.
And I want to make sure that, there's somebody or something held accountable for the fact that my brother wasn't protected in a public space.
But beyond getting answers from the T, the family feels a broader sense of purpose for speaking about their tragic loss.
Why is it so important for you that people know about your son and that the public in general gets answers to how something like this happened?
Well, because he was a somebody. He had a life. We loved him. They treated him like he didn't exist. Nobody cared. Nobody stopped. Nobody took the time to help, to make sure he was okay. If somebody took that minute, he would be here today. So it's important that people realize that people belong to somebody else. And just 1 minute of your time could save that person. And nobody chose to do that.
So tonight, the big takeaway for the public is that these emergency stop buttons are prominently displayed. Anyone can push one of them if you see someone caught in an escalator. That could have made all the difference for Stephen. A spokesperson for the Middlesex DA's office confirmed there's an open investigation into exactly what happened, with investigators awaiting a ruling from the medical examiner on the cause and manner of death. We'll, of course, keep following this.
Emergency stop. Now that definitely was in their face. Right when there was a few people, I think it was two or three groups of people who tried to help him. Ultimately failed and just, I'm assuming, went about their day. Didn't even mention it to no one else. But there was definitely an emergency stop. And then they didn't even bother to call the police. It says a lot about the people who saw this. That might say a lot about the human being in general. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just to see if it tells us any more information about this whole tragic case. So as we know, let's get over into it. 40-year-old Stephen, father of two, died after becoming trapped in the bottom of an escalator. Early morning, so it happened on February 27th. He fell and became caught in the mechanism at the base of the descending escalator. Surveillance footage uncovered by NBC shows that over a dozen commuters passed by him for minutes without assisting. A group of people eventually stopped to help and dialed 911 18 minutes after the fall. An MBTA employee stopped the machinery 22 minutes into the ordeal. Now, I've seen the emergency stop button every time I've gone on an escalator. So my initial thoughts would be to press, if somebody's stuck, press the button. But I guess that just doesn't register with a lot of people. So he suffered severe injuries and passed away in the hospital 10 days later. The district attorney is managing an active and open investigation into the case. Authorities are currently awaiting the final cause of death reports from the medical examiner. And then, the family, of course, is demanding transparency and a full accountability from the transit agency regarding safety protocols and oversight. Good question. What is their protocol on who's supposed to be watching the escalators? Is there supposed to be intervals of when somebody comes by and checks, or is it just that they get to it when they get to it? What is the procedure for this type of thing or for these equipments? Now, I did have a question. Is the family going to do a lawsuit? So as of May 2026, no formal civil lawsuit has been filed by the family. However, his family has retained legal counsel and is publicly demanding accountability. The family is working with investigators and demanding full transparency. His mother publicly condemned the transit environment after viewing surveillance footage, stating that the public and transit system treated him like he did not exist. They treated him like he was a homeless man on the side of the road. And I gotta admit, sometimes I don't even pay attention. Homeless man on the side of the road. I feel like if I look at them, they're gonna ask me for something. So I've gotten into the habit of just walking forward. But someone was actively trapped, looked like they were struggling, or looked like something is wrong. There was only a few people who actually came by and tried to do something, but even if they did try to do something and failed, they didn't call the police after that. So legal experts note that the former wrongful death lawsuit typically follows the conclusion of the active district court criminal investigation and official rulings on the case cause of death from the medical examiners. Now, we did notice, or his family did talk about, and we noticed on the film, it looked like he was probably under the influence of some kind of drug. Will that play a factor in if they can get anything legally from it? But at the end of the day, the family just wants somebody to be held accountable. They want people to know that he existed. Absolutely crazy case, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said.